Well, welcome to the Monday Minute of the Hunt Backcountry podcast. These are shorter and more informal episodes where we answer listener questions. And today we are going to do something for the second time. In January, we kind of said, hey, on the first Monday of the month for these Monday Minute episodes, we're going to make it a point to be a little more informal and, yes, answer your listener questions, but also, you and I, Steve, talk about what's going on at Exo, and then also just personally in those categories of the gear, the hunt, the hunter. That idea was really based on podcast feedback. So, for the second time, Steve, we're doing a quote unquote first Monday edition of the Monday Minute on a snowy day in Boise.
Yeah. I got the kids downstairs with a movie on, and as soon as we're done recording this, we're gonna get some snow gear on and head in the backyard and start doing some sledding.
Forget school. Let's go play in the snow. To kick things off, I guess, let's just go straight to Exo and kind of get that out of the way. There's been a lot going on, Steve. We've been traveling a little bit for SHOT Show, Sheep Show, and then next week you and I will be in Salt Lake City for the Hunt Expo, and then Jake and Pat will be in Portland for the Pacific Northwest Sportsman Show. So we'll leave links to both of those websites for those shows if you guys are interested in seeing locations, dates, etc. But on the road again next week, which is always fun to get face to face with customers, hear some stories. Obviously, a great opportunity if people are interested in trying on packs and things like that to come do that in person. So hopefully see a bunch of you guys next week. That also does mean, just a heads up, there's essentially no one in the office answering phones or anything like that. We'll do our best to stay on top of emails. We will have guys held back for shipping, but pretty much everybody who would be interacting with customers directly is going to be out on the road at these shows.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the. That's why we don't do too many shows, frankly, just because of the opportunity costs there. Of we basically have to shut down the office to go do that. So it's like you're gone for a week, you're super busy, and then you come back and you got all of a sudden the whole week it's like you were on vacation, but you weren't. You got to catch up on all that work. I'm definitely looking forward to the shows. Definitely Salt Lake's such a like if you haven't gone to Hunt Expo in Salt Lake City, it's a absolutely fantastic show. They're not it's not super fun to be in the booth, right? Like it's exhausting days for us. We're just like trying one pack on after another, but it is because we're a direct to consumer business that's online. I really do enjoy getting to chat with guys and hear their experiences with the packs. And I feel like certainly the longer we've been around, we've got this history of now almost 11 years of customers. So there's just a lot of like recognizing old faces and customers and hearing their hunting stories and how the pack performed for them. And I do really look forward to that part. Being online direct, it's phone calls, or 99% of the time it's emails, and so it's not very personal at times. I mean, we try to make it as best as we can, but it's really nice just to see people in person at the shows.
Well, yeah, hopefully see a bunch of you there. If we can, definitely if you are up in the Pacific Northwest, go see Jake and Pat and bug them as well. Another kind of EXO announcement, I guess, is actually just this morning. Patrick from our team is working on it as we are recording this podcast. We are receiving a bunch of stock of K3 items that just came out of production. And so pretty much all of the K3 bags and accessories that we've continued to produce are going to be in stock as of today. Steve, what does the future of that look like? I know that last year at the same time in January, we kind of announced one a restock then a year ago and said that, there is a lifetime of how long we're going to continue to produce K3 items. So we're at that same point again where we did just produce a bunch more. And do you think this is going to kind of be the last run of stuff, or what does that look like?
When we launched K4, and because there wasn't compatibility, reverse compatibility back to K3 or K2, a lot of K2, K3 crossed over. We said, hey, we're going to continue to supply accessories and bags and things like that. You couldn't buy a complete pack anymore, but if you wanted to a year from now, if you wanted to go get an 1800 bag or a 6400 bag, you could. And so I think we said we continue that for 2 to 3 years. Well, it's been 2 years. We had some capacity at the sew shop. Like, all right, let's do one more batch. We just, takes 5, 6 weeks. It's all sewn up. Pat's receiving it today. And the hope for us, like on the business side, is this is the last batch we do of it. It should be enough. We basically pulled sales reports for the last 2 years since we've stopped making it. All right, how much have we sold? And just try to match, like, how much do we think we're going to sell this year? And that's what we just produced. And we'll see if this stuff like sells out super fast. Say it's like summertime, we'll probably do another small run just to fill whatever gaps there might be. But again, on the business side, hoping that that's the last time we do, because it is for the sew shop to stop and go produce something they haven't made in a year. It's not efficient, right? Like they have to relearn the product all over again. The sewers get very, very good at doing the same steps over and over. When you throw something new at them, it just goes slower. Uh, but yeah, all that to say, if you got a K3 and you've always wanted a bag, or I know we did a bunch of multicam stuff, that's kind of been in high demand since we don't do multicam on K4 anymore. That stuff will be in stock and ready. And then, yeah, just if you want something, get it by this spring, this summer, and then we'll probably completely phase it out. Definitely by, I'd say, after hunting season, whatever's left once it sells out won't be replaced anymore. Yeah, that was just kind of our, I don't know, we're just trying to take care of the customers.
And I mean, we say K3, but as you mentioned in there, and just to clarify, a lot of these K3 items are compatible backwards to K2. And I know there's still guys out there with K2 frames. So even if you're on a K2 frame and you're looking to pick up, a new bag or even some accessories, things like that, a lot of these K3 items are going to work for you as well. So yeah, it'd be a good time to make sure you can get what you want. And pretty much across the board, all sizes, all colors, everything should be in stock when Pat receives everything this morning. So if for some reason you're not seeing something, definitely just shoot us an email. Let us know and we'll get you an answer. Let's see what else on the Exo world. We just released the latest episodes of the Experience Project. That kind of concluded the moose hunt. Last night was the last episode, which is Justin's bull. It was episode 7 of the Experience Project. So if you didn't catch that, we'll have a link to it. And then between now and us leaving for shows next week, we're hoping to have the 2 episodes of the Mountain Goat Hunt come out. So that will kind of, wrap up the Experience Project hunt series of all those Alaska hunts, which I've said this to you, Steve, since I wasn't on the moose hunt. I was really looking forward to watching it, and
Mm.
it did not disappoint, man. It was, I've heard the stories, but to like see some of it, how it went down, see the country, see the size of some of those bears, it's been fun to watch.
Yeah. So my only regret there is just, you need like a cameraman that's just like Justin did an amazing job filming it, but he's also a very active participant in the hunt. And there's just so many of the most intense moments, the crappiest moments, or the camera's packed away because Justin's legit just trying to navigate that situation. Even just the little things when we're going to the day we killed my bull, we basically left the river and it was like 800 yards to this little glassy knob. You're looking at it in the distance, and it's legit. Like, I don't know if I say like we have no idea what's in front of us, and we're just gonna get going at it. And like that country was so difficult to walk in that you don't know if that was gonna take 30 minutes or 2 hours to go 800 yards. Like, no joke. Like that, or are you gonna be knee deep in swamp the entire way? Are you gonna like a good example is when we went to go recover Justin's bull, 400-yard shot, and we there's a little like slough in between us and the bull, and we get there. One guy goes out to cross it, and all of a sudden it's like going up over the waders because we just had waist waders. Oh crap! Turn around, come back, and then we had to walk like a mile and a half to kind of skirt around that. So just none of that comes across on the camera. Even there's a clip of after we kill Justin's bull, I think I pull out my cell phone and you just see Dan sink like waist deep into the muck, and
Yeah.
it just like you just see it on on camera, and you go, oh, like that's nothing, you know. And in the moment, like it sucks. Um, and then Justin, there's one he's holding the camera and he falls in like a 4 foot hole, and that's like the only indication of the in the entire moose film of those holes, and they were everywhere. I mean, we all fell 100 times because it'd just be like this little 12-inch wide hole in the ground, but it's all covered with grass. And you just 1 foot would go in there and you'd step. And we had that when we were packing out my moose. Um, like it sounds dramatic in the film where I'm like, we don't want to hike back in the dark. Like I don't want to do this. Um, and we were like I put ourselves on a time limit of like, okay, if we don't see the bull by this time, like we're turning around and heading back. You know, the bears were one thing, but it was legit like the holes that I mean, you had a mile of walking where every step, like you better freaking watch where you're putting your foot down. And some of the times you don't know what you're stepping on until you put pressure down, and all of a sudden you fall down to your waist. So none of that comes across in the film. Like you said, I made this comment of like, oh, we got 800 yards in front of us. We don't know what it's going to be like. And then the only clips you see is when it's actually like you can tell the next 20, 30 yards of hiking in front of you is like not that bad. And then Justin will pull out the
Yeah.
camera. And so it looks like, oh, those guys are a bunch of freaking pansies. They're just walking right along. Even Rob in the office was like, oh, it looks like I could do that hunt. That's easy. You know, it's like all flat and you guys are just walking around. I'm like, no, that's 20 times worse than the caribou hunt. Like I would take climbing 4,000 feet on hard rock, you know, any day of the week versus what we did on that moose hunt. But
Yeah.
yeah, still, I mean, it was fun to relive those memories, and there was a lot of the stuff that was captured on film, which was cool, and some of the bear encounters, and it was crazy enough. All the guys they want to go back, and like I'm the one
Yeah.
who like, guys, you guys got freaking amnesia, you know, like
Right.
everybody was like, except for Boschma was basically like, I'm done, get me out of here, get me home. Like this is there were some intense moments, but there's something hidden in there, right? Of like this, I don't know, psychological, like you're legit just surviving out there, right? Like every moment your head's on a swivel, you're on edge, you're looking for bears, you're almost never relaxed. Or the second you did relax, all of a sudden a bear would be standing there at 25 yards looking at you and take your freaking, you know, heart would skip a couple beats. Um, and I think there's a deeper message in there for sure of something it's like something that's missing in all of our lives, right? Because we live so stinking comfortably.
Hmm. Well, it was fun to watch. Listeners, hopefully you can go check them out. Super cool hunt with the moose, and I just look back on it, having been part of two of the three hunts in the fall, and it's still. I mean, I think the most impressive thing really probably was the moose hunt when you talk about going in with the amount of time you guys had and filling those tags. Like, yes, we
Mm.
filled the four caribou tags. Jake and I filled both of our mountain goat tags, but to go in and find four legal bulls and then just the amount of work involved on one bull, right? To like kill it, process it, pack it, get it back, and to do that times four is super dang impressive. So pretty dang awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we went 10 for 10 on all of our tags this year is certainly impressive, I think. Um, and the moose hunt was, I mean, caribou hunt was a was a chore. We worked for that one too.
Yeah.
But Justin, or not Justin, Jeff Bloomquist put it great though on the caribou hunt was it was the hardest physical hunt he'd ever done, but not even remotely close to the hardest mental.
Yeah.
And that we just had fun on that trip. We had great weather for the most part. The hunting was fantastic. You didn't have to work hard to, like sit down on your butt and within 5 minutes, like, oh, there's a freaking caribou. Like, oh, there's one. Let's go shoot that one. Like with the hunting aspect was pretty simple. The moose one was definitely it was very, very physical and the mental grind of just not trying to get eaten by a bear. Um, yeah, it was super cool. I want to go do it all over again.
Well, when Justin gets done getting out of his editing dungeon with these experience project films, and then we get back from show season, we have the new video studio. So we're gonna start shooting some content. Some of it's gonna be very EXO related, just in terms of things like advanced pack fitting and some other ideas we have to help make sure that our customers really know everything they can and have like the best experience possible with the products. And then we also have some other, content that we want to share in a video format that's not strictly related to Exo products. So I say all that to say two things. One, stay tuned to our YouTube channel because it's going to be definitely more active this year than it has in the past, even though these hunt films are wrapping up. And then also, if you guys have any ideas or you think, hey, this would be something I would love to see in a video, whether it's related to the pack or not, let us know. Send us some feedback, and we're going to try and do more video content this year and help you guys out as best as we can in that regard. So it'd be good to hear what you guys want to see from that. Steve, transitioning to the gear, the hunt, the hunter, to touch on that stuff for us personally. Anything in terms of takeaways of what's been going on in the last month since we had this conversation on the first Monday, or what you're looking ahead to in the very near term in any of those categories?
The gear, I'm not thinking too forward there. Like, I mean, I guess I didn't see anything at Cheap Show Shot Show that was like, oh man, that's mind blowing. I need to get that. Like, if anything, it was just kind of like, oh, all right, everything I got's like, there's nothing new. Everything I got's great. Just keep rolling, right? Um, I do got to get my rifle. The Something happened with my gun because I tried to take it out on a late hunt, and I think it was from. I think I need to. Yeah, I just need to take it to a gunsmith. There's something weird going on with the trigger, and the safety wasn't working, and I tried to fix it myself. I need to take it to a gunsmith. But at the end of the day, I think it was the silt bath that the gun took on the caribou hunt, where it was like in the little mini river that was flowing through our tent, and then I think that all got gummied up, and so I got to get that fixed. So that's kind of on my short list of, hey, I better take care of this in case we got to order some parts or something. Just spring bear is going to be here real soon, you know. I am, working on what we're probably calling and currently calling K4X, which is taking the frame and making it lighter, but not sacrificing anything. So I'm literally have some everything on the frame right now is a prototype, but it's really just the next version of K4, and I don't know if that's 2026, 2027, but definitely starting on working on that and playing around with some lighter bag design, some lighter materials. So that's the that crosses both for me. I guess it's relevant because it's the gear that I'm going to hunt with this year, and then for EXO, it's obviously the future of what I'm working on. So some definitely cool things there. There's I am more excited right now than I have been in the last 5, 6 years on some materials, like new things that have been developed, stuff that's been around for a while, but that I have recently just looked at from like a different angle. Like, oh, I could use that, you know, not for its intended purpose, but something different that it may be a perfect fit for what I'm looking to solve this certain problem. And so there's some cool things happening there. I'm excited to, in fact, I was talking to you last week, right? Like we spent a lot of time getting organized on our marketing plan for this year, and I trying to. The goal for me was have that as organized as possible, so that I know that exactly what needs to be done, and then all the rest of my time can be spent on development. So I'm really looking forward to in a perfect world, I could just like lock myself. What did I tell you? I did put myself in like design solitary
Yeah.
confinement, right? Like just lock myself in this box and just have nothing to think about but design. But obviously, running 3 businesses, that's not quite possible. So, um, yeah, so that's going good. So shop's going. So back to EXO. I'm just bouncing around here, but so shop's going fantastic since the purchase of it. Just continuing to refine our processes and get things more and more dialed in, and it's nothing but good things in the future there for sure. Um, the hunt, yeah, obviously we're planning elk hunts out. Boschman and I applied for a Wyoming elk tag this year. That deadline was, I think we applied last Thursday or something. The deadline was the 31st. So should draw that based off of last year's stats and points, hopefully. Um, I don't know. Bloomquist and I put in for the one of the elk tags on not Kodiak, but the island next to it, the Fognac.
Oh, a Fogneck, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He wanted to apply. He was like, "Hey, you want to apply with me?" Yeah, sure. Why the hell not? Um, I think it's like a 5 or 10% draw, so it's not like something I'm planning on. But it'd be a cool little surprise if that popped up. Um, and then you and I were in discussions last week with the guys from Born and Raised Outdoors about teaming up to do an elk hunt with them this fall. So it looks like that's going to happen, where we'll get together and do kill some elk and film some stuff. It'll be fun. Haven't hunted with them in a while. Um, the hunter. Man, I'm old. I know that.
The reality
You,
is
you,
coming.
you and I, you and I were just talking about cramping and stuff in weird places prior to recording. Yeah, man, yeah, just feel old, dude. Just like them trying to like gear up. We got the Death Hike coming up in Grand Canyon, and it's actually on my 41st birthday, um, late April there. And yeah, I was just, like this year more than like my knees bugging me. Got like tendonitis in my Achilles. I think it's going on something like they've been really painful and tight, and um, yeah, just I don't know.
What do you think you're gonna do with all that?
I don't know. I'm definitely just like researching more supplements, and I don't. I yeah, I need to try some stuff because I'm definitely feeling it. Like I've always, for the last, I mean, you're aging from 30 to 40, right? But it's like little things that would bug me. Like my Achilles, I've always kind of had issues where maybe like wake up in the morning and they're stiff for the first 5 to 10 minutes, or immediately after a hard hike. Say you do a hard hike, you get in the truck and you drive for 30 minutes and you jump out. It's kind of like, ooh, and it just takes a few steps and it loosens back up. But this is more like kind of all day long, like painful tenderness. Um, so I don't know. Yeah, go. My wife has a great physical therapist that she used to work with. Go, I got to do something. Yeah. Because right now it feels like a long shot to be like, I mean, I literally go hike 4 miles and the next day it's like my tendons or Achilles tendons are like, son of a bee, it hurts. Um,
Dang, dude.
so
I didn't realize it was that
yeah,
bad.
yeah, getting old, dude, getting old. Yeah. I've been just doing more, um, I've been exercising, 5, 6 days a week, but more like getting on the Peloton bike and things like that because the hikes are bugging me. But I can ride, no problem. In fact, I was
Yeah.
going to send you like the last ride I did and see if you could beat the output on it, and just for fun, since I know you got a bike there that your wife's been riding. So
Yeah, if I could get 80% of your numbers, I'd be pretty happy.
we do
Be
need
crushing
to,
on a
yeah,
bike.
we do need to talk. We joked about doing that a mountain bike race together. That'd be super fun.
That
So
would be so fun. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
you
so much,
and
man. There's so much going on with. Uh, I don't know why I was thinking about that, but I was like, well, if you come out here for the golf tournament this summer, then there's races going on like every freaking weekend. We can pick one, go do it. And you just got a new bike. Yeah, that's part of the ear hunter.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't yeah, like I said, I used to ride more and then stopped, and then now that my son has shown interest, um it's a good excuse for me to be able to ride again. And so when I got back into it a few years ago, I got a just a hardtail. I've been riding it, and I was like, all right, Cameron's sticking with it. I'll be riding more. I want to do some races. So definitely got an upgrade. I got a specialized Epic, and it just showed up, I don't know, Friday maybe. So that's kind of spent some time this weekend putting that together, and definitely excited to get out and ride more for sure. And it's just another way to stay active, like, and to enjoy the outdoors at the end of the day. For me, it's the physical aspect of it, yes. And I definitely do think there's some limitation to, for like you and I, how much hiking, how much running, how much time under heavy pack there is. Like I'm always gonna love doing that and need
Yeah.
to do that, but I also want to be smart with, I think even though like we joke we're 40, but we probably have just a lot of hard miles on a 40-year-old body too. So
Yeah.
Mountain biking has just been a great way to be out more, but kind of have a different type of activity and, some less impact and stuff like that. And just a new challenge, right? Like I've never done any sort of structured mountain biking or races or anything like that. So it's just something new to kind of engage myself with. And obviously for me as well, just doing it with my son has been a heck of a lot of fun for sure. So yeah, it'll be good. And then definitely just under the hunt category. I mean, like you said, and just to recap, and everyone else is kind of in the same position, just being in planning mode, right? Of hey, not only what you can look at your points, you can look at different states, but part of it is just figuring out timing too. I was just talking with a buddy last week who is getting more and more into hunting, but he's also into other stuff. He does triathlons and he does these, different types of events and he's got a wife and kids and he was asking me questions on like, how do you plan your year and like try to fit everything in?
Hmm.
And one of the things that I really started doing at the end of 2024 going into 2025 was just try and start putting dates down. And what I found to be helpful isn't just a calendar, because then I have to like flip through months. So I just made like a quick spreadsheet. So it was all linear and I could just see and start penciling in everything of, all right, here's what I have going on. Like, here's these shows. Here's when the death hike is, but then all the family stuff, right? Like, my kids
Hmm.
have a camp this week and, we're trying to do a family vacation. When can we fit that in? And so I just can kind of scan and look at the the quote unquote calendar, but like I said, it's just in a very linear format and try and fit it all in. And uh man, the years fill up fast when you're, trying
Yeah.
to do stuff personally and then with work and then with family. So definitely under the hunt for me, it's just been yes, planning, but also like realizing what goes into that. It's like, okay, if commit to this hunt or think this hunt's going to happen, like then what type of prep does that have, right? Like what do I need to know? When can I fit in time to actually get ready for that hunt and all that stuff? And it sounds crazy because on one hand, the fall sounds far away, but as we all know, it's going to come quick. So that's just kind of where my head's been at is just setting up the year for success, right? Like just like we talked about with
Yeah.
EXO, like have a plan, and it's the same thing with your hunting, right? Have a plan. You may not know exactly yet what's coming because obviously not all draw results are out yet, but as I said, for me, it's important to even like figure out the family stuff, figure out the other events, figure out work schedules, and really just like get a solid plan this time of year. And then it's just about executing a plan because you have one for the rest of the year. So that may not sound like a something that falls under the hunt or the hunter, but honestly, I think this time of year it's one of the most important things I can think of doing to be successful and to have time and to enjoy those hunts come fall is to figure out all those logistics now, really.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it's being having some type of organizational structure and planning is, I mean, it's absolutely necessary to function if you want to get things done. Like, if you want to have experiences and you want to, I mean, if you're just living moment to moment, that, I mean, there's a lot to be said for being carefree like that, but it's like, uh, you quickly realize you get sucked into like work and life and this and that, and all of a sudden, oh man, we never did anything, right?
Yeah.
Um, so like you look back at the year and go, what did we do? And it's like, man, yeah. So I'm certainly 1/10 as um, organized as you are, but the value of even what I do, I know is essential for me.
Cool. Well, let's hit a few listener questions as well. And we have a ton. Again, we'll get back to this first Monday. What we're calling it is, a little bit different because we spend a little less time on it. We got a bunch to answer, and we'll get back to more of these. And again, guys, we are always happy to have more. So at any time, just send an email to podcast@exomtngear.com if you have something that you want us to cover. I'll mention this one quickly because You kind of mentioned it already, but just to clarify, this guy wrote in, Steve, and said, "You guys are awesome. Thanks for everything you do, and I love the podcast." He said, "I've been interested in a new pack for a couple of years, and I'm facing paralysis by analysis." He says, "Every year it seems like a new pack model comes out from you guys or from someone else, and I somewhat struggle to know when to pull the trigger and invest in a high quality pack." He says, "I'm just curious if you can say if there's a new pack coming in 2025, or if you can also clarify how long the K4 may be supported for years to come." So you just touched on that, Steve, but can you kind of clarify for this guy
Yeah,
since it already
yeah,
came up?
yeah. Definitely nothing new in 2025. 2026, if this K4X develops, uh, I mean, all the pieces are in place, but you never, that's why we spend so much time prototyping. My goal is the spring to, like, I was always testing stuff last year. I said, you know, all the pieces are aligned. We're going to build a bunch of them this spring, not a bunch, I'm going to say 10 to 20, get those out there and our kind of circle of friends, get them tested, beat up through Spring Bear, Death Hike, stuff like that. If all goes well there, then we do another batch where we do like we did with K4 development, we do like 100 something. If that all goes super, super smooth, then 2026 possibly you could see K4X, but K4X is exactly what it sounds like. It's the continuation of K4, so it's not all new. Everything will be compatible. Back, I mean, it's just literally the frame will be lighter. I, Crazy enough, I think I've like, got some pretty cool ideas on how to increase performance. What I'm seeing so far, I mean, it's all you know. 9 out of 10 guys wouldn't even be able to tell the difference until you put them like side by side, right? Um, but just small tweaks, 5% better here, 10% better here. So we'll see how that goes. So maybe in 2026 you'll see a lighter frame come out, and then bag wise, bags are tricky. That we've done. I mean, our bags, if you want, like, you could be critical of us or say we absolutely nailed the design back in 2013 going into when we launched in 2014. Like, they haven't changed much, man. I mean, you got like, they're pretty well dialed in, and I don't have any revolutionary idea on how to like redesign the bag to be something that's like new, exciting, and significantly better than what we're currently offering. I mean, it really just, moving a pocket here, adding a zipper there. Like, we haven't changed much since we launched in 2014 with the overall bag design. You kind of stand back a little bit and blur your eyes and you go, okay, that's the exact same bag. So I really don't see much there. There's some areas to be gained in water resistance, waterproofness. I'm working on that. But as far as the overall layout, like, bags are pretty much the bags. Our gear requirements haven't changed. Tent, sleeping bag, stove, clothes, food, tripod, spine scope, carrier weapon, easy access to a few things. It's a pretty, I guess it's a more extensive list than, if you're just going to REI and buying a backpack for just backpacking because it has more requirements, but still it's not, that hasn't changed. So that the solution to the answer hasn't changed. Or the solution to the answer to the problem hasn't changed. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I can't answer what other companies are doing, but that's what we're up to.
Yeah, good summary of that. Let's see. Let's jump to this one. Cooper wrote in, and this was going to be kind of about temperature ratings with the sleep system. Cooper was saying that he's just starting to get into backpack hunting. Mostly will be archery hunting in Utah. He's used to doing rifle hunts in Utah with horses and like kind of a big family hunt. They often have a hot tent, etc. And so he's really coming from this context of a hot tent, a thick foam pad, and a canvas sleeping bag because these horseback hunts. He's looking to transition into these archery season backpack hunts, and mostly there in Utah. And he says in the area he hunts, it's rarely going to get below 40 degrees, and he tends to be a hot sleeper. So he's basically questioning, should he go with a kind of higher, mild quilt and a lower R value pad. And the big benefit there would be that he can save some weight by doing so, and it would probably cover his needs. Or should he consider going to more of a do-it-all system, something that has higher R value or a quilt that's rated for colder temperatures, just so he has more versatility for future hunts or other seasons, things like that. But he's just concerned being a hot sleeper, he will be quote unquote over insulated. Um, and then obviously he'd be carrying a little bit more weight if he did that as well. So at the end of the day, he was just super honest and said, I'm not experienced enough to know what I should do, which I think is a great perspective to approach questions from. Um, what are your thoughts, Steve, given his specific context? Because it to me it is a little unique. I see so many people asking questions and trying to, you know, get a 0 degree bag, quote unquote, just in case. And he's really considering coming from the opposite, saying, hey, archery season, Utah, where I'm hunting, is probably gonna be pretty mild. Should I just go with a sleep system that's light and is only going to handle these warmer temperatures, or go to more of a do-it-all solution?
I mean, I would definitely say uh, do it all. Like, go get a 20 to a 25-degree quilt, get a sleeping pad with an R value of 4, and you're going to be dialed. Like, you're going to be able to take that from, in the teens, depending on it, sleeping in your, if you got down pants and a down jacket, you're going to be able to get down to like possibly single digits, definitely like 10 degrees, sleep just fine. And then that same setup will take you to, sleeping somewhat comfortably on a 50-degree night out there. Like, you're probably going to be a little hot, but that's why you have a quilt, and you just kick your leg out of it and use it like a blanket. And the versatility, that's pretty fantastic. So I don't really see, until you're like consistently hunting and like zero, or it's 0 at night and 20 during the day, do you need like to elevate to that next, much higher R value sleeping pad and a warmer, say a 10 or a 15-degree quilt.
Yeah, I would echo that. I mean, I've said this so many times, but my Catabatic quilt is 22 degrees, and I just feel like I could use that for everything. As you said, Steve, I've layered that with clothing and been in single digits, and I've used it on mild hunts. And when it's 40, I mean, that's one of the great things about a quilt is you just kind of half use it. You can use it like a top blanket. You can just vent it really well. And then also what you said on sleeping pad, somewhere around that R value of 4 is just a really good place to be. So, it's just an area where I think um, I would spend more on quality, and you're going to get a long life out of it and a lot of versatility, especially with a quilt compared to a sleeping bag, for example. Um, and that money is just going to be well spent over the years because it just kind of covers everything you do versus trying to, get by or to like split your budget and have like a cold system and a warm system and all that kind of complexity and cost and everything. Just to me, it's not worth it. I would just kind of get that middle of the road, and I mean that in a very good thing, like middle of the road temperature rating. And when it's cold, add clothes, and when it's warm, vent it, and you just have a setup that kind of is a no-brainer. I mean,
Yeah.
sleep system for me is one of the variables that is essentially eliminated from every trip I take, right? I don't even think about it. I just grab my sleep system and go.
Yeah.
And it's going to take care of me. And that's just a really good place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if this guy wants an answer, like, go buy a Thermarest X-Lite, Neo X-Lite, and buy a Catabatic Alsec 22. And you are going to be covered in 95% of the hunting you're going to be doing. And you're going to be super comfortable.
Caden asked what we did for gators this year in Alaska. I know that's a hot topic for you, Steve, because you don't use gators nearly as much as everybody does. But given what you said about the moose hunt and water and everything else, what did you use for gators? And then I guess how much as well did you use them? And you can speak to just the moose hunt specifically, or you can touch on caribou as well.
What did I use? I think I just had the Catula ones. Yeah, Kahtoola, so Kahtoola.
So the
They are
company that
like,
makes micro spikes.
yep, the ones make microspikes. They have a super light Gore-Tex gator called the Nava Gator, Nava Gator. Um, they're fantastic. They use a zipper instead of Velcro, which I tend to like. Super, super light, plenty durable. And yeah, I've been using those I've had them for 3 seasons now. I just use them again, I only use them um, when it's required, right? Like a lot of guys just default to slapping gator. I mean, you'll see a photo of a dude on a September archery hunt and it's like 60 degrees and sunny outside and they're wearing gaiters. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Um, but yeah, they're fantastic and they've been good for me. So
So on the moose hunt,
yeah,
you
that's what
packed them and then put them on when the terrain kind of dictated, or what did that look like?
honestly, I don't even, I barely remember having the things, but I'm sure I had them. Yeah, yeah. When it was so yeah, I don't know. I know I had them, so I would have put them on when it was. Yeah, I mean that whole hunt was wet, and you were wearing rain gear, or if when it was real wet, you were crossing. I was either in my Crocs, just bare feet Crocs, crossing streams and stuff like that, or we had our hip waders and then put the Crocs on. So,
Yeah, I've had a pair of Peak skaters I've owned for a bunch of years. They're very similar to the Outdoor Research Crocodile Gators, which I've also used, which are I don't want to say the standard, but kind of are.
mhm.
Like if you just wanted a good pair of gaiters and didn't want to overthink things or have something that was very specialized, you just kind of wanted to do it all gator, those OR Crocs are going to be a good choice. Um, yeah, similar to you, I kind of only use them when it's needed. I definitely used them on the goat hunt, for example, just because we ended up getting into a bunch of snow, and obviously helpful in that type of context with snow. But yeah, I mean, overall, I find myself more often than not overheating in gators or being annoyed by them. And so it is, there's times where I pack them around and wish I didn't pack them just because I don't end up actually needing them, right? Because it somewhat depends on what do you know about the conditions, the terrain, and the weather that you're headed into. And so there's definitely times where that's been variable for me, and I ended up carrying them and wish I didn't have them. And then there's times where they just really do come in clutch and kind of save the day. So yeah, I would just say based on knowing your terrain, your conditions, etc. Um, think through it. And there's times where a gator's not needed at all, or you could maybe get away with, there's been years I've archery hunted elk and ran trail running shoes and just like a very small, minimal, almost like dust type gator just to keep crap out of the shoe, but not a full on gator. So you can get into like specialized situations. But if you're more so looking for water, snow, and that type of coverage, something like an OR Croc is going to be a simple choice, or definitely check out those navigators. I've not used them, Steve, but I'll leave a link to them and guys can go check them out. And they're actually on sale right now for 47 bucks.
I know.
Yeah.
So I run the mid height. They have a tall, a mid, and a tall ultra. I run the mid height ones, and that's what I was going to talk about next. So generally, I'm running my gaiters underneath my pants, and the reason I do this is if you're hunting, I had a hunt a few years ago where I did take out the OR Crocs that I've got, but I was in knee deep snow the entire day, and halfway through the day, my feet were absolutely completely soaked, and it's because from the knee, basically above the gaiter, my pants were completely soaked, and the water just wicked down my pants, into my socks, into my boot. My feet were completely soaked. What I generally do now is I run this low height gaiter. I make sure, basically, I put my boot on, put a sock on, make sure I have a sock that isn't super tall, so not like a calf height sock, just one that's just barely enough to get above the boot, so you don't have any like weird rubbing or chafing or something. And then you run the gaiter over the top of that. So the gaiter and these navigators or levigators, They have a little cinch at the top, which I guess most skaters do, but I cinch that tight and that goes right next to the skin. And then, yeah, basically that way the sock and the entire top opening of the boot is completely covered. And that works exceptionally well. When you're hunting and like rainy stuff, your feet are going to stay substantially drier than if you run the gaiters over the top. You know, big deal that like the cuff of my pant gets wet. Like who cares? The goal is to keep your feet dry. Um, so that's been I don't know, I've started doing that quite a few years ago and just doing it more and more now when the hunt calls for it.
Probably just blew some people's mind who have never thought of that, Steve.
It works.
It works.
Yeah.
All
Worth doing
right.
doing a little video or something on. We'll add that to the video list of
Yeah, there you
for
go.
experience project stuff. Yeah.
I like it. Cool. Well, that's a wrap for today, guys. Thanks as always for tuning in. And again, if you have questions for us for a future show, send us an email to podcast@exomtngear.com. I'll try to leave links for everything we mentioned today, whether that was gear or things like the events, and hopefully see some of you guys next week at those events. Also, the films, everything else. Just check out the links in the show description to catch that. And if you haven't yet, be sure to hit subscribe. Be sure to hit subscribe or follow in your podcast app, and you'll receive future episodes automatically. And we'll talk to you soon.